During the past couple of weeks, I've heard a couple of bits of news. One bit of news hit my television screen, and that was when the COVID inquiry brought out the first of its reports. And its first report was about how well, or otherwise, the UK was prepared for a pandemic. So before COVID even happened, how ready was the UK? And you probably don't need me to tell you that we were not very ready. The second bit of news that we had was about Paula. I was talking to Paula. She normally sits down there. I hadn't seen her for a while. I was catching up with her, and she told me some piece of news, and I thought, that piece of news and the other piece of news, I thought, I need to share that on Sunday morning. So I said to Paula, would you mind if I interviewed you, and that was part of our Sunday service? And she said, I wouldn't mind at all, but we're not going to be here. And then she had this idea. She said, I could record my answers to your interview questions. So very kindly, she's given permission for this little video. So here we go.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Thank you very much, John, for inviting me to answer some questions. You asked about my dad. So my dad is doing as well as can be expected. He has multiple sclerosis, and he has his good days and he had his bad days, and currently his bad days are outweighing his good days. But as a family, we would like to thank the church family for all their prayers and continuing support at this time. So yes, my mother has been unwell recently. So she was very unwell in May last year, and she went to the GP, who referred her to the consultant because he wasn't sure what was wrong with her. The consultant has done a variety of tests, scans, cameras, blood tests, whatever tests there are, he's done them. And she was worried that the symptoms were an indication that she might have liver cancer or pancreatic cancer. But the good news is she doesn't. What she does have is cirrhosis of the liver. And as part of that, she has had to change her lifestyle somewhat. So consultants told her that she needs to lose weight, and her cholesterol is far too high. He has advised her of a particular diet that she needs to follow, which talks about what are good foods and what are bad foods. So it's not technical, it doesn't talk about calorie counts or anything like that, but it's literally avoid red meat, avoid processed foods, eat more beans, pulses, so traditional, just eat a little bit more healthily. How is she finding the diet? Challenging. When she first started it, she was really quite positive. She was engaged with it. She wanted to do this because she wanted to reap the health benefits. But we're 7 months down the line now, and she's finding it very boring, mundane, not exciting. She's finding it really hard work to stick to it. But the good news is she is sticking to it, regardless of the fact that it is very hard work and very challenging for her now. We recently went back to see the consultant, and they did repeat scans and repeat blood work, and we've had some very positive news on that front. So by sticking to this diet, she has lost 11 pounds and has halved her cholesterol. So the consultant is really pleased with her, and the family is really pleased with her dedication and the fact that she is sticking to this regardless of how difficult it is. So I think the moral here is, if you are given guidance and advice by anybody, that regardless of how difficult that path is and how challenging you find it to stick to that advice and guidance, if you do, you will reap the benefits and the rewards in the long run. And that's certainly the case for my mum. Thank you all. I hope you all have a really fantastic rest of the Sunday and enjoy the rest of your service. And Jessica and I will see you again next Sunday. God bless.
And I'm really grateful for Paula for agreeing to do that and all the work that she put into that little video. As I say, I had these two pieces of news, what Paula had told me about her mother and the COVID inquiry, and it gave me an idea for a little story. I thought I'd tell you a story this morning. So are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was a woman who went to the doctor about her heart. The doctor recommended a special diet. The woman went home and very wisely, she followed the diet as carefully as she could. The next year, there was a horrendous heat wave. She had a heart attack, but she survived. Once upon a time, there was a man who went to the same doctor about his heart. The doctor recommended the same special diet. The man went home, but very foolishly, he ate what he liked, and what he liked was junk food and sweet things. The next year, there was a horrendous heat wave. He had a heart attack. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was already dead. Well, it's just a little story, but it makes us think. It puts questions in our mind. And I'd like to share some questions. For example, why don't people follow the diet? I mean, you would think it'd be obvious. It's going to be good for you. So why don't we follow a diet? And I'm not pointing a finger at you, because I'm supposed to be on a diet as well. I have high cholesterol, and I too am on a diet. Is it maybe, though, that we think that the doctor doesn't actually know what he's doing? Is that why we don't follow a diet? Or maybe sometimes we don't want to look different from other people. We don't want to eat different things from what they're eating. Or maybe we think, just one little thing. It's not going to make a difference, is it? It's just one little thing, you know, just sometimes. Or maybe we think, nothing's going to go wrong for a long time yet. So I can sort it out later. I don't need to follow the diet just now. I don't need to prepare for some horrible thing happening in the future. Talking of preparing, why don't people prepare for the future? Why don't they prepare for what might go badly? The COVID inquiry came out with a few reasons that the UK didn't prepare. And one of those reasons was the government was focusing on Brexit, not on preparing for a pandemic. Do we sometimes focus on the wrong things? The government was not thinking about the risks. And we don't like thinking about bad stuff, do we? The government was not listening to scientific advice and not understanding and taking the trouble to get to understand it. Do we take the trouble to understand the advice we are given? Are we preparing? And why don't people understand the diet? Is it really that complicated? Do we really not understand, or do we just say we don't understand as a reason for not following the diet? Do we say we don't understand because we don't like to be told what to do? Like we're too proud to admit sometimes we don't know and we need to be told what is good for us? Do we say we don't understand because perhaps once we had an unpleasant experience? Perhaps we're like someone who at school they had a maths teacher they didn't like, and then for the rest of their life they say, I never will understand mathematics. Is it that we say we don't understand some bits of the diet because they seem strange to us? And then we tell ourselves, well, it doesn't make sense, so it's probably wrong, so I don't have to do anything, I can ignore this diet. How much do you understand what is good and what is bad? Is it really that you don't understand is the reason you don't eat the good things and avoid eating the bad things? And I have another question. What helps us to follow a diet? For me, I think that what helps is people encouraging us when it gets hard. Paula spoke about the whole family encouraging her mum. I think what helps is people explaining the diet to us and sharing recipes with us. And sometimes what helps is just asking someone else to help. Perhaps we worry that if we ask someone else for help, then we'll look foolish. But actually asking someone else for help might be the wisest thing we could possibly do. Do you need help? Do you want help? Do you want it enough to ask someone for it? We're all in this together. So I've got another question for you. How can we help each other with the diet? Well, how we can help each other is kind of the flip side of what helps us. We can help other people by sharing with them what works for us, our experience, our recipes. We can help them by celebrating with them their successes. We can help by encouraging them when they're struggling. And maybe there are some people who've never heard the diet, and the best way to help them is to tell them about the doctor and about the diet. Can you help someone with the diet this week? The diet is good news. Paula's mum's diet was good news for her. In just a few weeks, she lost 5 kilos and she halved her cholesterol. Our diet is even better news. And yet, ever since the very first diet, when Adam and Eve were told not to eat a certain fruit, the negative side of diets has been emphasized. Did God really say you must not eat of any tree in the garden? You will not surely die. So we think of a diet negatively, and we think, what a terrible restriction on my freedom. And we look for loopholes, and we think, surely it can't be life and death. And we lose sight of the fact that our diet is actually really good news. The doctor has a diet for us that is free and can help sort out our problems, big and small. And more than that, our doctor has exchanged his health for our bad health so that we can live. Surely it would be wise to get to know this doctor, and it would be foolish to ignore his diet. Now, this parable could go on and on, but I'll leave you to think about all the ways that it applies to you. And I'm just going to finish with the final part of my story, which is about the doctor's retirement party. Once upon a time, when the doctor had explained the diet to a large crowd of people, he finished by saying that at his retirement party, there'll be a lot of people wanting to join in. He said, they'll be saying, "Doctor, doctor, remember us? Didn't we throw out other people's diets? Didn't we tell lots of people about your diet? Didn't we quote you a lot?" And the doctor said, "I'm going to say to them, go away. You never were my patients." Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 to 23.